There's an amazing story out of Duke University Hospital. A woman with COVID-19 had a baby but was unable to meet her newborn for the first 2 months of life. Bridget Condon introduces us to a new mom who's a true survivor.
This is the moment that 31-year-old Takia Morrison dreamed of for 2 months while stuck in the hospital with COVID-19, fighting for her life.
It was like I felt complete. It's what kept the fight in me. I just kept telling myself I have to get back to my children. She passed him to me, and I seen him. It was like it's finally here. Like, it's mommy. I'm here, I'm home.
In early April, Takia was admitted to the hospital with what they originally thought was just pneumonia before being diagnosed with COVID-19. At the hospital, she had a seizure and needed an emergency C-section and was later transferred to Duke for life support.
I realized I was by myself and that I was in the hospital. And when I looked at the date on the board, I realized that it had been days.
Takia says what kept her going was her 10-year-old daughter and newborn baby boy who needed their mother. Although she was alone in the hospital, she says the nurses printed out pictures of her family and hung them all over her room.
For the nurses to take the time out to print the pictures and post them on it was like they really made me feel almost at home.
She's sitting there. She has a tube in her mouth, hooked up to a ventilator.
Craig Rackley, who treated Takia, says for her to be able to leave the hospital with no oxygen is a testament to her age and being healthy.
Most people who need the ECMO that she need it for about 7 to 14 days. She was on it for 23 days.
After weeks of testing positive for COVID-19, this Monday the test finally read negative, and Takia was able to return home to her 2 children, making her appreciate being a mother that much more.
There's normally an official gathering here, a ceremony on the final Monday in May, but this is the year 2020, the year of the pandemic, and it brings major change. Placing flowers, standing over her husband's grave, Stephen Maynard, U.S. Army, Vietnam. She's wearing a mask for safety, but concern over COVID-19 is the last thing on Sylvia Maynard's mind right now.
It's all about him today.
For Matt Kennard, it's a day his kids can learn about their great-grandfather, World War II Army Air Force Corporal Eugene Adams. There are no immediate fears of the pandemic for this family, at least not out on a breezy morning in Black Mountain. Fresh air and a quick lesson in war.
We're trying to teach the kids, a little bit about what sacrifices that he went through. So it was kind of tough teaching the kids this. It's hard to put it in perspective, but I think it's important for them to see it.
All the traditional flags are in place here, but COVID-19 restrictions mean the lawn between the headstones has not yet been mowed. Instead of a Memorial Day crowd, it's more like dozens, mostly distancing, paying respects during a tough time.
I love my husband, and I just had to be here.
Wilma Edwards and her sons place flowers on a grave not yet permanently marked. William Don Edwards, U.S. Army Special Forces, Vietnam, died on March 16th. This is Wilma's first Memorial Day as a widow.
This is new to me, and it's been hard, but it's, there's joy and sorrow. I hope that, that people will stay safe and be careful and do what we have to do to stay that way. But life is still what God gives us, and that's where my trust is.
Reopen NC, the grassroots group protesting Governor Roy Cooper's executive order, held a rally today in Asheville. It was one of 5 across the state. News 13 Kimberly King reports on local business owners taking to the stage to criticize the restrictions put in place by the governor.
Speakers from organizers with Reopen NC to also people in the crowd who just decided to get on stage took part. Now, APD did have officers on bike patrol. They were around 1,000 feet away, but the event remained peaceful.
We are going to play taps.
More than 50 people came to support the event downtown held by Reopen NC. Those who attended honored fallen servicemen but also brought protest signs about COVID-19 protocols. Small business owner Scott Ford spoke.
There's so many photographers. There's so many cake makers, florists.
Ford, who owns an event rental business, critical of the state's restrictions.
Right now, there are people in small businesses in Asheville, in the event business, that are dying.
I work at Rise and Shine Cafe.
Katie Feathers facing a misdemeanor for serving customers inside Rise and Shine before the state allowed dine-in service. The restaurant's owner, Katie Grace, also spoke.
Either somebody gets to tell you what to do and control you.
Grace telling us she's ignoring critics on social media.
I thank them for all the publicity because my staff has gotten paid tremendously the past week.
I'm encouraged that folks came out
Kim Gant, the event's main organizer,
to show their respect for our heroes that have fallen.
Gant led the group, walking around City Plaza celebrating freedom of speech.
So folks did express their views on how the governor has infringed on the rights of the people.
In Asheville, Kimberly King, News 13.